Hi friends, this video is all about ES335 pickguards part 2. In the first video we talked about choosing the right pickguard and even making some modifications. This one is going to be all about installing the pickguard on the guitar and choosing the right bracket as well. Now all of this is going to be in reference to this particular guitar. I know it doesn't look like much, and if you're new here, I'm going to put all of this in context. If you've been here before and you know about this guitar, there should be chapters at the bottom of the video so you can skip along. This guitar started out as an Epiphone inspired by Gibson ES335 figure top in raspberry tea color. Obviously it does not look like that anymore. When it was in its original state, I did some modifications like the bridge post, the bridge itself, changing that out, the pickup rings, changing the pickguard, like we're talking about here, the pickguard bracket. I even sort of widened the binding. I put a Bigsby on here. So I did all those things, and then I played the guitar here at home, and then I played it out a little bit. So I got some pretty good use out of it. But my goal in the big scheme of things is to sort of morph this guitar into something like the Gibson ES335 Chris Cornell model. And if you're not familiar with that guitar, well, here is Greg Koch at Wildwood Guitars to tell you a little bit more.
Tell you what, these guitars sound doggone good! Sorry, getting choked up with emotion. Gibson Memphis Chris Cornell ES335 signature with these Lollertron pickups. I'll tell you what, makes this guitar very unique indeed. Drab green is what they're calling this color. I just call it weaponry. It looks like some kind of military apparatus, but yet not a warlike machine, but more an army of benevolence, sonically throwing out notes to send peace and love to the world and other places, perhaps.
Thanks, Greg. Like I said, I'm transforming this guitar, or at least trying to, into something like the Chris Cornell version in olive drab green. Obviously, I've taken the finish completely off the guitar, front and back and sides and neck, and the headstock is already reshaped. I put a veneer on there, had to do some modifications to the nut. There's all sorts of things that I'm delving into, learning about as I'm doing this, and I'm taking you on the journey with me. So be on the lookout for all these videos. They are coming. There is a playlist currently of all the videos, and I will just be adding to that playlist as we go. So be on the lookout for that and be sure to check those out. All that said, let's get into the continuation of the pickguard. Okay, here's the guitar, and as I stated previously, hopefully I did, the pickguard heaven guard fits perfectly with the spacing between the pickup rings, like so, but again, it's not the one I'm going for. And the Montreux does not fit currently. We've got to take some material off this portion right here so that it fits between the pickups. Just for kicks, I want to show you the spacing between the pickups. I think it's about 2 1/4 of an inch. So let's change 2 inches. We can do both, but I'll do like this. Okay. So about 2.27, so basically 2 1/4 inches. And that in millimeters is about 58, something like that. Now we need to take off a little bit of this area, like I said. So what I plan on doing is grabbing a different one of my kids' blocks and using the same sandpaper so I have a nice flat surface, and then just going at it like this. And perhaps the curvature of the wood and the sandpaper will sort of follow that curvature of the ring. The pickup ring chamfer, I guess you call it, that 90. I'm going to try to stay away from that until I need to kind of shape it. So yeah, that is the next step. And for comparison's sake, let's go ahead and measure this distance so we know about how much we need to take off. So this is 59-ish, so about 1 millimeter is what I need to take off. Oh, and by the way, I did take off the adhesive, that residue that was left over. I use mineral spirits. If you never used it before for adhesive on anything, not just guitar stuff, it works wonders. Okay, going to commence sanding. This is 220 grit, just like I did with the outside. This might take a while. I might not show it all on camera, and I might, well, for this, another reason I might not show it all on camera is I can't really get up and close with my face and see what I'm doing. But this is essentially the goal, right? I'm just taking off 1 millimeter, which is not a lot, but sanding 1 millimeter might still take a while. So I'm going to turn the camera off and keep working at this. I don't want to take any off this edge right here. So yeah, I think I want to turn the camera off and focus a little bit better, but this is the idea. So I've been sanding for about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so on this little part right here. And right now I've got a nice snug fit all the way around. And so with that said, and that in place, I'm going to now move the guitar out of the way and talk about the pickguard bracket and modifications that I made and what I bought. So I think the pickguard is good for now. So let's talk about the bracket. All right, here's the old pickguard bracket that came originally on the Epiphone. Not a lot of pieces going on. You've got this threaded rod. It's actually only threaded on either end. And then you've got this piece which mounts to the guitar itself. It's chamfered in there so that the screw fits down flush. And you've got a little nut here. I'll show you the old pickguard. Here's the block on that. Looks like super glue, I don't know, but the block is threaded, and so the rod goes into the threaded block like so. And it did have this nut on there. I'm not exactly sure why, just for a more secure fit maybe. But the other part of it with the two nuts, you've got this end piece here, the little cap. I'm just going to call it a cap. I don't know what else to call it. But with the Epiphone one, and I'm assuming all of this is in SI units, metric, and as far as the thread type and all that, but the cap is more, I don't know, it sticks out further. It's more robust and not as slim as the Gibson style. So that's what I'm going to show you now. I'm going to show you what I bought and what it looks like. This is what I got for the new bracket. You can see it's from Randy's LLC here. I got it from Reverb, but I think he has a website there. But yeah, he was a good seller, really good to communicate. He didn't have this sort of kit, which I guess is this model number that he has here, 1715-11N. But he had several different types, I guess, and the one I was looking for, he didn't have the exact kit. He had like the pieces together, like he was selling maybe the block separate and this piece. This is a very specific style. I think I got the 1 inch, I can't remember, but there was a larger one and a smaller one, and then this was the middle style. Yeah, so I asked him if I could buy this as an assembly, and he said, yeah, I'll put one together for you. So that was a really good transaction. This one, pretty similar. You got the block, you've got the threaded rod, and this one again is threaded into the block. You've got on this end the bracket that goes to the guitar. And as far as I can tell, the Epiphone one and the one I got now are pretty much exactly the same. This one is supposed to be nickel. The one that I bought, this one might be chrome, but it's, you know, has enough oldness and age on it that it's kind of worn a little bit. So I wouldn't be hesitant to use this one if I had to, but this is the one I got. And yeah, let me grab that real quick again. So I don't know if you can tell, but the nut on I'm going to call this the Gibson one, but the nut on the Gibson one over here is a little bit larger. It takes up more space. It's a little bit wider, I guess. And then of course the end cap is more flush to the bracket. It takes up a little less space, doesn't stick out as much. So now I'm going to show you the fit up with this, and we're eventually going to attempt to glue this bracket or this block onto the pickguard. What I've gone ahead and done here is mount the bracket to the guitar like so, with the block just kind of hanging out there. Gonna take the new pickguard and put it on and just kind of see what we're looking at. Now, I have looked at the original Chris Cornell 335s. These are the ones that were issued in 2013. And almost all of them, you can barely see this rod at all behind the pickguard. And so this is, of course, where the screw exists on my guitar now. I've toyed around with the idea of moving it. I may be able to move it just enough to hide the existing hole with the bracket. So I'm going to just mess around with that now. I feel like I'm a glutton for punishment if I try to move this. So I'm just going to try to, take this off and move it and see kind of where I get, where I'm happy with. If I'm happy with it just covering up the old hole, or if I need to fill the old hole with something, or if I'm just going to leave it as it is. It's going to be pretty hard to show this, but there is my existing hole. And if I just cover it up with the edge of the bracket, you can still see a little bit of the rod. Not much at all, but being the type of person that I am, I feel like I want to move it up a little bit more to where, you know, you can't really see it at all, which means that this hole would be showing, and I need to figure out how to fill it with something. I know one way to do it, sort of the right way, is buy some binding, preferably the same color. That's going to be the difficult part, is knowing what this color is. It has some, you know, clear coat on it, maybe some age tinted clear coat right now, so maybe it's more white underneath there than it looks now. But get the exact color of binding and melt it in acetone, and then make some sort of a paste, put it on there so that it's proud, and then sand it back down. And then I could always, once I strip the paint off and then I'm ready for the color coat, could tape up this binding, and then it would spray green over the part there, and you'd never see it, hopefully, and it would just look like there was never a hole there. So I'm toying around with what I want to do. Like I said, I feel like I'm a glutton for punishment trying to even make this modification. It's not really necessary. It's not at all necessary, but it's just an aesthetic thing. And like I said, once I get my mind set on something, I kind of get laser focused and just want to do it the way I want to do it. So I'm going to mess around and see where I land and let you know what I decide. Well, I've decided I'm just not going to be happy unless I get this bracket positioned exactly where I want it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to drill a new hole. Going to leave this for now. My thoughts are temporarily at least try wood glue. Maybe it'll match, maybe you'll never see it. Not likely. It's probably gonna be visible. When I take the paint off or the clear coat and everything, it would probably melt. Depending on what I use, that wood glue might not hold up anyway. But once I get all this clear coat off, I'll have a good understanding of what the real true color of the binding is, and at that point maybe I can order some binding. It seems stupid to have to order binding just to melt a tiny bit of it into that. Maybe there's some other type of plastic that I could do that with. I'm not sure, but I'm going to cross that bridge when I come to it. But for now, I'm going to drill a new hole in there to where I want it, and then after that's in, I'm going to glue the block to the pickguard. Oh, before I forget, I've been meaning to tell you this, but I did have a little bit of a casualty with the sanding as I was beveling the edge. You can see right there, that edge or corner, there was a little bit of some scratches going on. I've just developed some miscellaneous scratches just handling this thing. So nothing else from the sandpaper really, but that was an area where I did get a little bit of a slippage. So I may try to buff that out. Doubt it though. I think I'm just going to live with it. It's not really visible. Depending on what light it's in, it might be, but I'm not that picky. So for now, I'm going to leave it. Maybe one day, or maybe just over time, it'll just kind of fade into whatever scratches appear from the pickguard. I don't know. Not going to worry about it right now. Going to mount this bracket. Okay, I went ahead and screwed the pickguard in up here so that it's where it needs to be. It's a little bit, I don't know if you can see this, but I need to push in on it for some reason to get it flush up against this pickup bracket or ring. But doing that and getting this where I want, I've got it there now, and I just taped it, and then I put a little tiny hole where I need to drill so that it doesn't move and it stays where I know it needs to be. So now I'm going to drill a little hole, and that should hopefully be that. Not exactly sure what size bit I should use, but I'm using a 5/64. If I need to enlarge it, I will. And I'm probably not going to get this on the camera because I want to make sure I get it just right, and I don't have a lot of room with the camera in the way. Okay, there's my new hole over here. Doesn't really look big enough, so I may try to enlarge it or just screw the screw in. I don't know. Maybe I'll enlarge it. Back with the 3/32 bit. Looks like that was a better size. All right, let's do this. Got to use the wiggity wax on your screw lest it do something bad, damage things. Here we go. Okay, I've never done this before. I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I've got an idea where I'm going to take the pickguard off, and then I'll show you, I guess, the rest of my idea. Okay, here's my idea. This might be stupid, but I'm gonna try to put this on here, sticky side up, put the pickguard on, and then this will stick to the backside of the pickguard, and that will tell me where this is gonna go. It's not that important, but I want to sand the bottom of this or rough it up so that the glue can have something to grab onto. And I don't want to just scratch the whole thing up and make a big mess, so I want to get an idea of where it's gonna be more precisely. So let's try this. All right, so it kind of worked. So now I can take that spot. I'll probably put some, I don't know, I'll figure out how to mark that up around that. Take the tape off and then scratch up that little area. I'll scratch up the block, even though I got to scratch it up in that exact spot because I can't really take it off because I don't want to move it this way or that way. So, we'll figure it out. All right, this is my jerry-rigged way to do this. I've just put some tape around the edges of this piece of tape. Now I'm going to rough that part up, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that exactly. Just grabbed one of those files I was using for something earlier, and it's got a pretty sharp point on it, so I think I'm just going to scratch it up like that. Put some pretty good gouges in it so that the glue has something to stick to. And I'll show you what glue I'm planning on using here in a second. Okay, it's probably good. Now I'm going to attempt to do the same thing to this tiny little block here. Okay, I think it worked pretty good. The glue I'm going to use is super glue gel, so it's not the, really liquidy, viscous or non-viscous, whatever. It doesn't flow really well. It's a gel, so it's going to give me time for it not to set up, so I have a little bit of time. You can see I've got something, just a paper towel down here to protect the finish, even though this finish is going away, but just to be precautious. So I'm going to put some gel super glue onto this and then put this down and hold it there for maybe 20 seconds and hopefully it sticks. So let's do that now. Okay, it's been about 20 seconds. Hopefully it worked. It's looking like it did. Make sure we don't have any glue squirting out, falling down. Yeah, I think that was a success. Yeah, here's the underside. Actually, it looks pretty clean. Pretty proud of myself. I did not expect that to go very well, but I think it did. I feel like it's on there pretty good. Not going anywhere, so mission accomplished. All right, that's it. The pickguard is on. Looking good. Pretty proud of it. Hey folks, thanks for watching, and if you're feeling frisky, you could like, comment, subscribe, share. I wouldn't be offended. See you later.